With the death of Satoru Gojo, there is now a question to ask: who is the current strongest sorcerer of today? Is it Yuta? Is it Yuji? Is it Hakari? Is it Maki? Or could it even be Ino? That is a question that is being asked by everyone right now, and it is a pretty heavily debated topic. Of course, some have more arguments for them, such as Yuta, but it's genuinely a good question to ask. Who right now is the strongest sorcerer? Since Sukuna and Gojo are both gone, someone will have to take the mantle of the strongest. And that's what we'll be breaking down today. Today we'll be going through each candidate and seeing just who really is the strongest, who is above the rest of the main cast of the heavy hitters in terms of strength. It's going to be quite an interesting one and a controversial one, so let me know your thoughts in the comments down below before and after you watch the video, and let's just get right into this. Be sure to leave a like on the video, it helps out a ton, thank you. And of course, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for a ton of Jujutsu Kaisen content just like this. Less than 10% of people who watch my channel are subscribed, so if you love JJK, I assure you, you won't regret subscribing. And of course, atom zor khojde daragaya. Alright, so this video will be broken down into sections for each character to just go through how strong they are and to see if they really are the strongest, and by the end we will have a conclusion on what I hope would be, you know, just outright saying who is the strongest, right? So first things first, we have Yuta Gojo. Pretty much this guy is ridiculously powerful, and it just seems like he's gotten far stronger over the time skip. He's refined his domain after doing the swap training with Satoru Gojo, so his domain is even better than it was before, as was said by Sukuna. He's got even more copied abilities in his arsenal, but the real question we have to ask is, does he still have Shrine? Because as it was said before, if a sorcerer were to use reverse curse technique to heal a finger or whatever limb Yuta took to actually get that technique, then in theory Yuta should lose that technique since the conditions of copy have been nullified. I've been looking through the past two chapters and I do believe Yuji's fingers have been healed. It's really unclear, and it's also hard to tell if this is a mistake by GEGE, but at least so far it does seem like Yuji has healed that finger, because of course the main 5 Sukunas ended, so there's no reason for Yuta to keep Shrine, which is very important because if Yuta were to use the full manifestation of Rika, all of a sudden he loses one of the strongest techniques in the entire verse, Cleaveness Mantle. But of course he still has a plethora of copy techniques, and to be honest, I don't think it makes him that much weaker because he just has so many lethal and deadly techniques such as Future Sight, which again, it does seem like he lost that because they did tell Charles that they would give him his ribcage back if Sukuna were to be defeated, right? So there are certain abilities that he may not have, and even Udo's Sky ability, I think he probably kept. I don't see any reason why he would give Udo the hand back or heal her hand, or it could even be possible that simply Udo's arm could not be healed and that's why she never got her technique back. That could be a possibility, but regardless, Yuta is still very powerful. We saw his performance against Sukuna. I mean, the guy is an absolute beast. He's got domain expansion, and most importantly, it does seem like his base has become far stronger, and even more important than that, partially manifested Rika seems to be a complete beast. I mean, comparing partially manifested Rika to how strong they were in the past, it's like night and day how much stronger Rika is right now in just her partially manifested state, where she is contending with even Sukuna in a 3v1 while partially manifested. It's pretty incredible, and this does help a lot because suddenly Yuta doesn't have this 5-minute time limit, because if he just activates his domain, it's more than enough, and of course, he always has partially manifested Rika. It's not like he needs that 5 minutes to make it a 2v1. With Yuta now, even in base, it's always a 2v1 with a strong combatant, which is partially manifested Rika, and if push comes to shove, he will have that full manifestation to just go all out and have complete control over his copy ability. The next person on the list is Yuji, who is incredibly powerful. I mean, he's got 2 curse techniques, he's got blood manipulation, which granted, can't use very well right now, but he still has it, and he can use it to stop bleeding and to also reattach limbs and heal wounds, as you saw when Sukuna's domain expansion cut Yuji's leg clean off. Instantly, he reattached the leg, no issues at all, and it does seem like it also helps in terms of Yuji's efficiency for using reverse curse technique, so it's not as costly for him since he does have the blood and cursed energy of the death painting, so in that aspect, it's great for him. And most importantly, he has Shrine, Cleaveness Mantle. It's a very powerful technique. I know it's still new and its output's still low, but think about the fact that in this fight, it was Yuji's first time ever using it, ever, period. And he was using it that well, where he was even putting binding vows to change the effects of the technique, specifically when it was targeting Sukuna, which is pretty high level if you ask me. So if you just give this guy a couple days, months, or however long to train, he's definitely going to be a beast, especially if you give him 10 years with Sukuna's level of potential and he has another technique on top of the Sukuna level potential and technique that he has. It's not a question that, at least in the future, he could easily be as strong as Sukuna, if not even stronger considering blood manipulation, given his ridiculous potential. Though of course you could argue he may never reach that state because Sukuna is just a natural born genius, which is a fair argument, I won't lie, but in terms of just sheer potential, he's right there, and he's already, unlike some other characters, has lived up to that potential to a tremendous extent, and he does have access to soul damage, which you can't heal unless you're aware of your soul, and he has black flashes, which I don't want to say he can use on command, but it does seem like he could just use on command. He can use them very well. It's incredible how he can use black flashes. Regardless, Yuji is a terrifyingly powerful sorcerer and definitely in contention to be one of the strongest of today. At the very least, I would honestly say he's top 5 after he got that domain expansion. It does seem like the sure hit of the domain is simply just a cleaviness mantle as we saw hit Sukuna, but with Sukuna he specifically made it so it wouldn't target him physically but only target his soul. You could make the argument that if he wanted to, he really could have just cut Sukuna right in half and killed him right then and there, but we know Yuji's main goal is to not kill Sukuna, but first and foremost, his main goal is to save Megumi, which is why he didn't kill him right then and there with that sure hit. Granted, it's Sukuna and Yuji was also very low and injured. Even Sukuna says it was a half-baked domain. I mean, even Yuji admitted that, so you could argue it wouldn't have killed Sukuna, it would have just been a deep cut, but I think for any other sorcerer that's not Sukuna or Gojo, I think it would have just cut them clean in half and killed them. Because Gojo and Sukuna, their durability and endurance is just off the charts. I mean, we saw Gojo tank so many of them, so it's still impressive nonetheless because he's got a domain expansion. And up next on the list, we have Maki Zeni. She is quite powerful, and unlike the other ones, it's not like there's a ton of things to say. I mean, she's just a physical beast. She does have a natural healing factor, which isn't that useful in a 1v1 because it does take some time. It's not a tremendous amount of time. It's not like she'll need an hour to heal, but it seems like she can even heal deep internal damage in a mere 5 minutes, which is actually very incredible. But when you're in the heat of battle in a 1v1, it's not like you can just say, yo, my guy, can you just wait 5 minutes? Just 5 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes. Your opponent is not going to give you that time, you know what I mean? Though of course she does have the ability to see things that other people can't see, so this lets her move in the sky or move in very unusual ways. She also has the soul splitter katana, which she can cut people's soul with her sword because she has the ability to see it. Of course, this wouldn't be useful against someone like Yuji, who is well aware of his own soul and the outline of his soul, so Yuji would be able to heal any damage via the soul cutter katana with reverse curse technique. Though of course for Hakari and Yuta it's questionable, but at least for Yuji he would be able to heal the soul cutter katana. But Maki is still very powerful. I mean, don't get me wrong, she ate black flashes, she did a lot of damage to Sukuna, she also has the ability to not be sensed by anybody. And of course, last but not least, it's Hakari, the only one on this list who didn't fight Sukuna, unfortunately, even though he wanted to, because he was being stalled by Urume, who he just couldn't defeat in time, unfortunately. Hakari is not weak by any means, and I do imagine his base has definitely gotten stronger over the time skip, just as it has with everyone else with the swap training. And of course, he does have his domain expansion where he becomes effectively immortal with his jackpots, and his domain is rigged for after he's hit his first jackpot, he is guaranteed via increased probability and increased spins to keep hitting jackpots thereafter. It's pretty incredible how his domain works. I've covered it in a lot of other videos before if you want to check those out, because I won't be going into depth here and wasting 5-10 minutes going into the incredible depths of this technique, which a lot of people aren't aware of. But the point is, this guy is ridiculously powerful. I mean, even Urume praised his reverse curse technique as being faster, only in this aspect in terms of speed, faster than Gojo and Sukuna. And of course, he has infinite curse energy, meaning he can just spam it limitlessly subconsciously. He's quite an annoying fighter, I would say. It's not like he's lethal or in particular that complex, though of course the rules of his domain and the ins and outs are complex, but in terms of his fighting style, it's pretty straightforward and simple. The guy is going to keep healing and pounding on you relentlessly. He is not going to stop beating on you again and again and again. It's pretty much his style. He will just keep punching you until eventually either you wear out or you die. And it does seem like this is simply Hakari's fighting style. I mean, with Kashimo, it seemed like that fight was just going to go on forever until either Kashimo had killed him or Kashimo had run out of cursed energy. It was just by sheer coincidence and purely by luck, which is perfect for someone like Hakari, I guess, very fitting for him, that they happened to be an ocean, so the fight could have ended earlier. But had an ocean not been there, that fight would have gone on for an incredibly long time. And even with Urume, I mean, the fight lasted the entire Sukuna raid, from the beginning of everybody fighting Sukuna all the way until the, I mean, even before Sukuna transformed into his true form, Hakari was already fighting Urume, and their fight did not end by the end of it. Urume had to game end themselves because the fight was still going on and Sukuna had lost. Hakari is not weak by any means, but it's not like he's super powerful either. It does seem like he's more of a, I'm gonna wear you down eventually because you're not gonna be able to kill me because my jackpots are guaranteed type of fighter. Now, as for the conclusion, who is the strongest? I would say right now it's probably Yuta, because Yuji still just got Cleaviness Mantle and he only just got his domain, so it's not refined. But I will say, I think it's more interesting to ask who is going to be the strongest a couple months from now. Depending on how Yuji's training goes and his Sukuna level potential, how much of it he actually awakens, it could very well be possible that he may grow tremendously and even surpass Yuta, which is debatable because Yuta has his own great potential as well, but it's less about who's got more potential and it's more about who's got more untapped potential. I think Yuji has more potential that's not been tapped into yet. I'm not saying Yuta doesn't have a lot, I'm just saying Yuji has more, especially given the fact that it's Sukuna level potential with Cleaviness Mantle, which is just awakened. That is just a can of worms right there of potential, and he has blood manipulation, which he just recently got, and even he is saying there's still a lot of work to be done. He's still at an amateur level of that. Remember, blood manipulation is a top 5 technique in the entire verse. It is such a powerful technique that for 1,000 years it has kept the Kamo clan in power. It is that powerful, and throughout history, at least for people who are competent and knew how to use it, not like with anyone else we've seen recently, it was able to rival the 6 Eyes Limitless and the 10 Shadows, which I know is crazy to say, but throughout history, that's what it's been able to do. Talking about the potential of blood manipulation, if it's really that strong, if it's not, I think that's a whole topic in and of itself, which some of you may agree or disagree with. I'll cover that in a future video, but as for who is the current strongest sorcerer of today, I do want to say if there's no nerfs, given what happened to Yuta, it's Yuta, but I do believe that in the future, maybe in a couple months, or if we get a time skip by the end of the story, I think it would be Yuji, because he's just got 2 top 5 techniques with Sukuna level potential. And when you add on top of the fact that he's got soul damage and he's able to heal his own soul with a domain expansion and just all those crazy things, reverse curse technique, and being able to chain black flashes like it's a joke, I do want to say the future strongest of today is going to be Yuji, but as of now, I'd probably give it to Yuta, but Yuji is not that far behind. But I do want to say Yuji is not that far behind, and it's not like Maki and Hakari are weak, I just think the other 2 are quite a lot strong. If you do disagree, let me know in the comments if you believe maybe one of those 2 or someone else is the strongest of today, or maybe you think currently Yuji is the strongest of today. Let me know in the comments down below. Yatavaya, Milashka. But if you did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like, it helps out a ton, thank you. And of course, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for a ton of consistent and quality JJK content just like this and depression. Less than 10% of people who watch my videos are subscribed, so if you love JJK, I promise you, I assure you, you won't regret subscribing. And of course, thank you to all the channel members as well, it's always much appreciated, guys. But that's all from me, have a great day and take care. Paka paka.